Welcome everyone to the Vocal Honey podcast. This conversation is going to blow your minds and really ground for you this idea of what visibility really requires. But what's going to throw a little curveball for you today is that I'm not just talking to anyone. I'm going to be talking to someone who's in the world of money. And you might be like, what does vocal honey and money other than a cute rhyme, what does that have to do with each other? So grab your notebook, grab your pen, get ready for major downloads and insights. I have with me today, my special podcast guest is known as Coach Cam, but he is Cam Borowiec, a passionate entrepreneur, financial advisor, public speaker, ski coach, and a dad on a mission to help people design lives and futures they actually want to live. Outside of work, he's a father, a big brother, a recovering procrastinator. I can totally relate to that. And an outdoor thrill seeker who finds balance on ski slopes, dirt bike trails, and through coaching sports when he can. As the founder of the Financial Impact Team, Cam leads a fast-growing movement of families and entrepreneurs committed to earning more income, getting properly protected, eliminating debt, and building the kind of wealth that can last for generations. Cam, welcome to the Vocal Honey podcast.
I've never heard anybody read an introduction of who I am as a person, and I actually kind of enjoyed it.
I believe visibility is the new currency, and that's why I wanted to bring you on today, is because you have obviously a very tactile angle and a philosophical angle with currency, like the real currency, like money. So I want our listeners today to truly just start to have this new relationship with visibility as a concept, but then seeing the larger picture of it not just being this energetic wealth, but visibility literally leading to money and wealth creation. And that's where you come in. When we say that we want more in our business or our life, more is more for your nervous system. Whether you're saying, I want more money and more success, but you're also saying you want more responsibility and you want more emails and you want to delegate more and you just want more. So just because we want more doesn't mean more will feel safe. And so let's just drop right in. When it comes to visibility, it is a currency. So do you think too that visibility is wealth as well?
I think that visibility and attention, I think they mean the same thing. And when you actually kind of went down the road in our conversation on visibility currency, I've always used the word attention. I've been saying that for years, that attention is new currency, but I almost like the word visibility better, because that's really what you're getting attention, but you're putting yourself out there.
And it feels risky, right? It's like there's a risk to suddenly showing up and saying, I belong here, I want to speak, I want to be heard. Where are you in that spectrum of like, how do you coach people to get ready for big amounts of money and not like spend it all? Because that's what we do with visibility.
For me, skiing down a mountain is as normal as walking is to the average person. And so there's zero fear. I am safer on skis than I am on foot. I trip up the stairs, but I can ski down a hill backwards. So when I started ski instructing, I would have adults that were twice my age who have never done the sport of skiing before, who were petrified, not just scared or nervous. They were downright like shake. You could see them like, I'm so scared to do this. And I thought that it was completely weird and not normal and silly that these grown adults had this fear of this thing that is like the funnest thing in the world to me. Someone who was much, much, much older than me, who had been a ski coach for decades, they connected the dots for me on that experience. Hey, these people are scared, like they have every reason to be. They've never done this before. Like, you're not scared because you've been doing this for your entire life. And I thought, oh, wow, if someone's going to thrive in this environment and someone's going to be able to make it from being afraid to not being afraid to getting on the hill to skiing to realizing, wow, I love this. It's all about safety. That's the number one thing. So whether it's speaking on stage or you work in a regular corporate job, but maybe you're in a leadership position or you want to be in a leadership position, if you don't feel safe to get on the chairlift and ski down the hill, you're never going to do it. And if you don't feel safe to raise your hand and speak up and use your voice, you're never going to do it.
They don't feel
Why would
safe.
they feel safe? That's another thing. So many of us are used to being treated a certain way by people that we've been around for many years of our lives. Probably look at you and treat you, or you assume they look at you and treat you like the version of you that they knew 20 years ago. And you're not that person anymore. You're not the same person you were a week ago.
I think people are really afraid to become their fullest self. I mean, isn't that the expression? Our greatest fear isn't that we're inadequate, it's that we're powerful beyond measure. For you, in your world, where does money play that role? Or do you see behaviors that are literally people holding themselves back because they're afraid of outgrowing an old version that maybe kept them broke?
Money for me, fear was actually always my motivator. Dad filed for bankruptcy when I was in high school after my parents got divorced, and I didn't realize it at the time because we lived in a nice house, but we were eating beans and hot dogs cut up inside of it. Like my dad did a really good job at hiding the fact that we were, one more financial mistake away from losing the house. My fear as an adult was to not have financial security, and money to me was a terrifying topic. There's a great book, The Psychology of Money, that's all about this. To answer your question, do I see this happening with money? Yes. People tell themselves stories about money and about life in general and about how, their goals are too big, their dreams are too big. And the answer, that's all lies that we tell ourselves.
Speaking of the stories that people tell themselves, I would love for you to tell us your story. That is really why you do what you do. Can you tell us a little bit more about that journey?
Yeah. As a financial advisor, one of the topics that we talk about constantly, that especially all young families need to have the conversation of life insurance, and what if someone in your family dies an age younger than expected for any number of reasons. And it's a very important topic. Life insurance wasn't a topic I ever knew about, understood, cared about. It was kind of my foot in the door into the financial world. And the sad experience that you're mentioning is when I was in high school, because my mom and dad got divorced right when high school started, my mom and my stepdad ended up having my sister when I was in, I think, junior year. And so I had a baby sister, and I was already old enough to drive. Pretty big age gap between me and my little sister. And then it was only a couple of years later, when she was 4 years old and I was in college, my stepdad got diagnosed with ALS, which I think everybody remembers, that ice bucket challenge thing. So ALS is a terminal illness. And when you get diagnosed, in most cases, the doctor says you have a certain number of months to live. And so my stepdad lived about another 6 months. He passed away the day before his 60th birthday, which is too young to pass away. So my mom was the recipient of everything that was his that had her name on it, which was almost nothing except the house that they were living in and the bank account that had a little bit of money in it, but not a lot. They didn't have all the official documentation. They didn't have the proper life insurance in place. They didn't have, he never had a will made. Pension from the Navy, his pension from working at the Ford plant in Buffalo, he didn't receive those things. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom her entire life. When he passed away, she was now left in a position of having a 4-year-old daughter, being a single widowed mom with a 4-year-old, and trying to navigate the finances, which was never her responsibility in her entire adult life. She was 46 years old at the time. Over the next 2 years, her life was incredibly challenging, and she went through a lot of struggle, a lot of worry, and ultimately my mom ended up committing suicide. From that moment forward, life was different for me, my sister, and my entire family, because we had this big traumatic experience that we weren't expecting and certainly didn't know how to handle. And it was years after that happened when I sat down with my mentor now, who's like a dad to me, and he sat down and he showed me the very simple, basic financial things that every single human being needs to know, which is what our mission is, just to put that information in front of people and help them use it. And I sat through this presentation with him And the entire time I was thinking, why did I not learn these things in high school or when I went to college? It didn't take very long after that meeting that it like clicked in my head and I went, oh man, if my stepdad had the proper kind of life insurance and the right amount of life insurance and had it set up in such a way that my mom would have gotten the thing that you need when you lose the financial resource in your family, he wouldn't have had all the stress and worry that she had, and she'd possibly, probably still be here.
Wow.
And so for me, since even before that, but especially at that moment and every day since then, this topic of money and how it has a positive or a negative impact on every single person that we know, it's universal. Every single one of us uses the stuff all day, every day. We all use money every single day of our lives, from the day we're born to the day we die. And when we pass away, hopefully we leave behind some sort of legacy for our kids and grandkids to continue to work with. And in most cases, that doesn't happen because people don't have life insurance, they don't have investment accounts, and they don't even know how those things work. So they just avoid the conversation altogether because it feels scary. And what if I get scammed? What if I get screwed? What if I talk to the wrong person? And no one knows who they can trust or who they can talk to. So they just don't.
Wow, Cam, thank you for sharing that and being real with us and vulnerable. And I'm so sorry that that happened. And I know I can speak on behalf of the audience that thank you for sharing it, because we're all learning how to be better storytellers. And that truth just knocks me over every time I hear it. Like, let's connect the dots. If you are here listening to this podcast, you are a individual who is in a career or in entrepreneurship, and you are making money or you are about to earn more. How you do that is through showing up and talking about what you do. And like Cam, coming out of a podcast and talking about your story and what you do. And that is going to bring in more money. But we need to start recognizing that money magnifies your mission. Money is the obligation that I think everyone needs to start making. But again, if we don't feel safe with it, we're going to revert back to being caught between a rock and a hard place, or going back down to what was comfortable, which is a pretty shitty baseline.
The thought that I had as you were saying that was, what are the 5 things that none of us are supposed to talk about? We learned that we don't talk about sex, politics. We don't talk about politics. It impacts every area of our lives, but let's not discuss it. We don't talk about religion. We don't talk about our faith or our spirituality. And money. Money is a topic that we've been almost trained and programmed from a young age, and our parents were trained and our grandparents were trained that it's not safe to talk about money. We need to feel safe openly discussing the things that are very big, very important parts of our lives. And it comes back to visibility and safety. That's it. If you could understand that it's actually a good thing. And that's like the main message I want people to get out of the money side of this conversation, is it's actually a very good thing to talk about money with other people, because it increases your money consciousness, it increases your money knowledge, it increases your money skills. And when you have better information, the right information, tools, and other people supporting you, guess what's going to happen in your financial life? It's going to start growing. You said money magnifies or multiplies your mission. Anybody that's listening to this podcast anywhere in the world that has some sort of mission, whatever it is, whatever you're passionate about, I want you to think about that mission that you're on and the thing that you're passionate about. And then I want you to imagine that a suitcase with $1 million shows up with a note on it, with your name on it, that says, this is for you and your mission. How many amazing things could you go do that positively impact tens of thousands of people, maybe hundreds of people, thousands of people, tens of thousands, millions of people, because you have financial resources to record that video that you've been wanting to record, to do the marketing you've wanted to do, to buy the new computer that you've needed to buy, to get the truck that you need for that company requires you to have a truck. Whatever, there's so many things that you need, you just don't have the money for it. And so once you realize, like, okay, wanting and needing money isn't a bad thing. I'm not a greedy person. I want and need that money to do more good things that impact not just me and my family in a positive way, but anybody else connected to me in a positive way. So now I'm going to start having the conversations to go get more because I feel safe about it.
Oh my God, Cam, mic drop after mic drop. Take us home with, so someone's listening to this right now and they're as hype as I am. They get the connection now. What's the next steps? Like, what would you recommend someone starts with? And then how do we learn more from you?
One of the things that I teach all of my clients and my entire team is no one has ever created a plan for anything with the intention of failing on purpose. What happens most of the time is most people don't have a plan at all, especially when it comes to their money and the long-term, vision for their future. Most people have somewhat of a vision for their future, but it's not totally clear. And they definitely don't have the step-by-step plan to get there. In my talk at Disrupt, I asked everybody, what's the first step when you build a house? And the entire crowd yelled out the word foundation. Right? Yeah, the first step in building a house is a foundation, but there's actually a step before that, which is the blueprint.
Wrong. And everyone's like, what do you mean?
Yeah, they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm wrong? I'm like, well, you're wrong because you don't start digging the foundation until you have the blueprint, because what shape is the foundation and how deep is it and what it like. So if I had to give people one piece of advice, it would be to recognize that every goal and every dream that you have in the future is dependent upon your willingness to fully participate in the process of making it happen. No one's coming to save you. No one's going to do it for you. You have to have a vision for the life that you want, not for the amount of money that you want. You need to have a vision for the kind of life that you want. And we can probably assign a dollar amount to some of those pieces. But what kind of life do you want? And then realistically, what would it take to get there? And then you have to work backwards and map it out. And what I tell people all the time is, I can swear on this podcast, right?
Yes, you can.
I tell people, figure out what you want in life and then write down a list of ways to completely fuck it up. And then just do the opposite. That's it. If you're trying to figure out what's the plan for success, write down the plan for failure and then do the opposite of that stuff. So if you continue to avoid conversations about money, that's one of the ways you're going to fuck it up. If you continue thinking that you shouldn't sit down with someone who knows more about money than you, like a financial advisor or someone in your life that's maybe just further ahead in the process that's willing to mentor you and coach you. If you don't sit down and have that conversation and map out the step-by-step plan, you're pretty much just going to keep spinning your wheels. So don't be afraid to talk to someone. But if they're talking to you with words and language that sound like they went to law school and you don't understand what they're saying and they can't bring it down to a level that you need it to be brought down to understand it, you picked the wrong person. Find someone that can help you feel comfortable and safe having the conversation. As far as like financial goal that everyone should have, financial goal number one, I just want you guys to visualize and imagine that your bank account right now has enough money in it that if you didn't even get out of bed for the next 6 months, you would still be able to pay all of your bills. Doesn't that like eliminate a ton, like the stress in your shoulders and your neck and your chest and your heart and like the whole rest of your body?
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, then let's make that happen. Let's like, we can visualize that feeling. And that's step one. The next step is like, okay, how much money do I have to save on a monthly basis to have that amount of money in my bank account so that I can actually feel that in real life versus just visualizing it? And when you remove that financial stress, that's like peeling back the layers of like, okay, I feel like I can function. Like if my boss says something to me, again, that pisses me off, I can say fuck off and go get another job because I'm not going to lose my house when I quit this job.
Absolutely. That is brilliant. I love all of that. And I think what you're made me think of in terms of the language in Vocal Honey is how do we find neutrality where we're taking the pressure off? And listen, everyone, Vocal Honey Queens, your wave of visibility is here and coming. Like, because you're working with me, because we work together, the ecosystem is tight. Everyone is starting to become more known for the thing they're here to do. So we need to start thinking ahead. I love how there's this question that you got us to ask. What is the kind of life that you want? Not how much money do you want? We think about the actual lifestyle first. For everyone in Vocal Honey, a part of that is living their mission really loud, which is going to steward in and attract in wealth, period, because it's required. So now imagine, guys, with me, what Cam just said. You have a financial plan and you're literally saving for that big stage in Paris or that stage in Dubai, or I'm going to do the crazy thing ahead before I even start my podcast, and I'm going to get the AV team and someone to film me. Plan for that abundance because it is here already. How can we get a hold of you? What do the Vocal Honeybees need to know?
I mean, I love Zoom calls. I can do phone calls and stuff, but I like this face-to-face interaction. If you're local, if you're in the central New York area or even the western New York area and I can get to you, I love coffee and other. So whatever your favorite coffee shop is, we can meet there. I have a landing page called therealhowmoneyworks.com. If you go to that landing page, it'll ask you to put your name and your email and stuff. There's actually a book called How Money Works, and you can download that for free. Anybody can have that and read it. And if you were to read it on your own, your financial knowledge, let's say if you had to give yourself a grade A through F, like high school style, if you feel like you're getting a D in your financial knowledge, just reading that will take you from a D to a B. If you want to go from a B to an A, it's just sitting down and actually having a plan made. And that's what the Calendly Zoom link will be for.
All right, this was incredible, so valuable. Cam, thank you so much. Excellent. And my Vocal Honeybees, this is you planning for your visibility because your success is inevitable and your brand, your visibility requires the currency that you hold energetically, but the actual physical currency of wealth. Okay, so let's make that money, honey. Cam, thank you so much for enlightening us, for telling us such beautiful stories, and for really grounding us in what money is and how it's going to help all of us become more visible. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is awesome. You're a really great host. And I can't say enough just about you as a coach. So to your Vocal Honeybees and to anybody else that stumbles across this, if you are looking for someone, especially anybody, but especially if you're a woman and you want to have great feminine energy around you to help you feel safe and comfortable and confident stepping onto stages or anywhere, Kimberly's really, really gifted at what she does. And she's very, very good at just understanding where you're at and helping you take even just a baby step forward to build that momentum. I hope someone hears this and thinks like, wow, I've seen her stuff and I've wanted to reach out to her and maybe talk to her about coaching or attend one of her events. And I hope people start taking those opportunities seriously.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I really greatly appreciate that, Cam.